welcome back to another TVGP Spoilercast. This time, Moon has just finished God of War, 2018's God of War, to be specific, the God of War. I figured this is one of 2018's hottest games, so it's rife for spoiling, which is the whole point of Spoilercast. So I'm your host, Boston. Joining me, as always, is Moonpir.
Hello, and wait, are you telling me we're here to spoil a game?
Yes. If Spoilercast wasn't obvious enough, we're going to be spoiling everything from 2018's God of War. So this is your one and only warning that that's going to happen.
Yeah, do yourself a favor, and if you have not played this game and you are interested in it, go play the game before you listen to this.
Yeah,
because
I'll play the game no matter what. Like, even if you don't listen to this.
Like, I was really, really lucky in the fact that I avoided all of the spoilers for this game.
Me too.
All 4 months of them.
Yeah.
Between me starting it and the game coming out. Go in as blind as you can.
So here starts the spoilers. I feel like I am genuinely surprised that I didn't, and especially you didn't get spoiled on something, because I feel like there are so many giant, very easily spoilable things, like in one sentence, where it's like, hey, Kratos gets the blades again. And so you're like, okay, well, great, you spoiled this one giant thing on like in a one sentence on Twitter. Like, that could have easily happened, but I'm still genuinely surprised that hasn't really happened.
Yeah, I also love the fact that when I posted on Twitter about that to you, I literally had to cover the description of the trophy and the picture of the trophy because they were both spoilers.
Yep. Yeah, because isn't the picture just like the crossed blades?
Yes, it's literally is a little iconography picture of Kratos with the crossed blades above him. It's like, great.
Yeah, I feel like for me... So, Moon is going to drive a lot of the conversation here for some of these story specifics, because you had just finished it within the last couple of days, and I finished it pretty quickly, understandably pretty quickly when it came out, because I'm like, I cannot stop playing this. But I feel like the foreshadowing for him not getting the blades in the very intro, with him like... with the wraps on his hands, with him like very distinctly and very strongly wrapping his hands back up, like with the scars on his hands, on his wrists, seemed to me very much like, look, that old God of War is over. Like, you're not going to get that. Don't expect that. And then when he says before that boat ride, like, I think I need to go back there, and I'm like, oh my god, is he gonna get the blades?
That's immediately what I thought. I thought he said he needs to go back home, and my immediate response was, is this the thing that's under the house?
Right.
Is this what I think it's going to be under the house?
And then Athena shows up, and it's like, oh no.
Let's talk about that sequence first. The journey back, and Athena's there, and he's literally, like, Athena is talking smack to him like crazy.
Yeah.
And Atreus isn't there because Atreus is sick at the time.
Right.
And then, like, the conversation he has with her, where she's just saying to him, yo, you're a monster. And I don't have any connection to the original God of War games. Like, I've played maybe 10 minutes of 2, and that is it. But as soon as I started seeing people show up in the Greek garb, I was like, oh, this is Reference City.
Yeah. They did such a great job with that. I mean, I like that you, as someone who didn't play the originals, I think it's a testament to how well they told their story that was still really impactful. Like, Athena coming and saying, like, look, you're our tool, and you're just a monster, and to think that you could ever be more than that is insane.
Yeah, I just love the fact that he ends that as well by saying, yes, I am a monster. He admits what he is, but his response is, but I'm not your monster. Like, he kind of breaks free of the shackles, no pun intended there.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of God of War's strongest storytelling points that they were talking a lot about pre-release was there's just one cut. There's no camera cuts in the game. It's all one shot. And I feel like that was well done up until that point, and that whole scene with it spinning around him and like going behind his back and Athena appearing and disappearing, that's when I was sort of like, all right, yeah, you guys, you really earned that in this scene. Yeah,
I mean, that scene makes all of the difference between like what's about to happen, like, and the fact that it is basically a zero cut game is both a strength and a weakness, because it allows them to tell that 100% story that they want to tell, and it does give you the thing where you are that character, like you are Kratos. You get engrossed into it because it never shifts away from him. Mm-hmm. With maybe one exception where it does like a little pan, follows Atreus much later in the game.
Yeah.
But the thing that they do really well, I feel, is like from the get-go, they are telling a story, but they drip the information to you at such a really slow but intriguing pace. Like, from the start, I was curious. Like, I was thinking, is Atreus his son, or is he more like a stepfather to Atreus?
Right.
Because he calls him father, but it's entirely possible that relationship is not a familial relationship, just a personal one. It was, who is his mother? Why? Specifically at the start, when you escape the forest, like when you first leave the forest and start your journey, you learn that they were never bothered at all by any monsters or any of the outside world until he cut down the final tree.
Right, which broke that barrier.
Broke the barrier that his wife, his Atreus' mother / Kratos' wife put up, which forced them onto this journey that they have, which comes into effect much later on.
Yeah.
You learn why. The phrasing of the journey is really good as well, and when you get introduced to Mimir, and they're like, yeah, we did it. He's like, no, you didn't.
Right. It's not the tallest one.
Yeah, it's like, what did she say specifically? The tallest one in all the realms? Yeah, that's not here.
That's that one way over there.
Yes.
I feel like in a lot of other games, that bait and switch with the mountain would have felt really frustrating. But I think by the time you hook up with Mimir and he tells you that, to me, I was like, great, like I thought this game was going to end after a handful of hours, and now I have way more game. Like, that's so exciting, and I feel like I haven't felt like that in a game in a while.
It also does that thing at that moment where when you get to that point, you are learning more about the God of War Norse mythology. When you're learning about how much of a complete D Odin is, and all of his sons, and the giants, and the history of everything, and Mimir being an advisor to kings. Like, his backstory is hilarious as well, but you get to that point, and the first time you get to the top of the mountain, I believe Baldur's two sons are there.
Yes.
And those... Oh, no, not Baldur's two sons. Maybe it is. I don't know. But someone's sons, so it's Odin's great nephews or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Like, they're there questioning Mimir. It's like, you're learning more and more about them. I love the fact that the stranger at the start is Baldur. Like,
yes.
I love the reveal of that throughout the entirety of the game. Like, when it started, I was thinking, Odin, Thor, Loki, these are the big...
Those are your big three.
Yeah, they're your big three. And when you find out that the stranger who attacks you at the start, who doesn't have a name, you find out he is Baldur, who is one of Odin's children, Thor's brother, I believe.
Yeah, his immortal child.
When you find out that's Baldur, I thought to myself, okay, so basically what they've done here is they're starting us off with the weak sauce.
Yes.
And they're gonna tease, or they're gonna do something that involves Odin and Thor for the next games.
Yeah.
Because it's something I know about God of War 1, 2, and 3, is, as far as I know, you don't get to Zeus until 3, I believe.
I believe so, yeah.
So it's like, okay, so they're going to do another trilogy. It's going to be Baldur, the introduction to the world.
Right, your D tier.
Yeah. Your second one is going to be probably Thor, and your third game is probably going to be Odin.
Yeah.
Like, That's how I'm imagining it as I'm going through the game. Little did I know how correct I was.
Right.
Then you're going through it, and then my personal, like, oh my word, the things they could do with this game comes when you learn about the giants, and you learn about Tyr, and how Tyr traveled through realms, and not just the Midgard, Asgard kind of realms, but when you figure out that you go down to his vault and you see the Spartan vase, and it's got Kratos on the side of that vase.
Yeah.
And I think it's at that point Mimir actually refers to him as the ghost of Sparta.
Yeah. I was just like, oh man.
And Kratos is like, never call me that again. We don't talk about that.
Right.
It's forbidden.
Yeah. I thought that was a really great scene because I was worried that Kratos at the very beginning is sort of like, I don't want to bother anyone, don't have anyone bother me, and I like one of the first things that Baldur says to him is like, how did you get here? And I was just like, okay, so like we're not totally ignoring, this isn't a new Kratos, we haven't rebooted this, it's...
Yeah, he says you're not from around here, like...
Yeah.
Nobody seems to know where he's from, they just know he's not of that world. The only person who knows is Mimir. But Mimir doesn't know exactly who he is until that moment.
It's such a good scene.
There's always that thing as well where Mimir and Kratos talking, like when Atreus is away, and like they're talking about like his history and stuff like that. Like him talking to Athena, like Mimir is there when Kratos is talking to Athena, and at the end of it, like once you tell her that you're not her monster, Mimir, as you're walking out, says, so I'm assuming you weren't talking to me that whole time.
Right. Who were you talking to?
Exactly. And I think that's actually might be when he gets the Ghost of Sparta line.
Right.
But when you go down to Tyr's vault and it's like, okay, so this is all the Norse loot, and there's a vase that's from like Greece.
Yeah.
And Kratos deliberately kind of like accidentally smashes it so Atreus doesn't learn the truth.
Yeah, I like that he like pushes it off, like a cat pushing a glass off a table.
Yeah. My favorite moment in that scene is when he sees the tablet with the Egyptian hieroglyphics on it.
Yeah.
And Mimir calls out, "Oh, that's a land far away. Tons of gods there."
Like, yeah, and I was just like, "Oh man,
where are you gonna go with this?" Like that scene was just like, okay. Let's do the Norse trilogy. Let's get on with that because I want to go to the Egyptian trilogy and let's see Kratos there. It
very much felt like Assassin's Creed, where they keep saying like, "Boy, wouldn't Japan be cool?" And I was like, "Japan would be cool. Shut up."
It's my favorite. I think I actually made note of it. I was like, that scene in Tyr's vault is incredible. It reminds me of the end of Assassin's Creed 1.
Yes.
When you get that flash of the wall of the eagle vision, and it's like, oh. Here's Japanese writing, here's Chinese writing, here's Arabic, and it's just like, oh.
Here's how big history is, and it's like, yeah.
But that Tyr's Vault moment is great, because that's also, I believe, right after you get the chains. When you get the
I think so, yeah.
back is right after that. And then you get what I think is the worst part of the game, and we discussed this on TVGP proper, which is Atreus' mood shift.
Yeah, this is probably, I think God of War is a nearly flawless game for the rest of it, but I think when you look at, I think Atreus' struggles with who he is really interesting. But I feel like the mood swings when he finds out he is at least part god is so fast to him, just like, now I'm gonna kill this brother that we run into, and like those brother boss fights were pretty cool.
Yeah, they were.
But for him to just like suddenly become this killer and then sort of not feel super bad about it, and then get smacked down by Kratos and like come back down off that villainous high very quickly.
Yeah.
It feels a lot like
it didn't feel earned.
Yeah, it felt too fast. Like maybe they couldn't justify another hour, the game being another hour longer, which makes sense, but...
Yeah, considering they did the we're off to Jotunheim tease literally 6 times, like, yay, let's go to Jotunheim. Oh no. Yay, let's go to Jotunheim. Oh no.
Right.
Yay, let's go to Jotunheim.
We gotta go into the World Serpent. Now back to Jotunheim.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So I can understand that. My fan theory when it happened was specifically Freya brings up that the arrows are evil.
Yes, which is such a cool scene.
It is a cool reveal. It would be very easy to have Atreus act like a D until the arrow gets used and the purpose it is used for later.
Right.
Because it would be a good explanation of Freya has put the seal on him to hide them from the Asgardians.
Mm-hmm.
And that arrow could interfere with the seal, or specifically the clip that he has on his chest could interfere with that and make him that way.
Right.
And it would be a really easy thing to just turn around and have that moment where the arrow gets used against Balder. Have that the moment when Atreus is like, oh, wait, no, it wasn't me.
Right, what have I been doing?
Yes.
Right.
But you do get the hell, like, moments there where when you're in hell and Kratos sees Zeus and him fighting, and he's like, what did you see, boy? And he's like, I didn't see nothing.
Right, I didn't. Yeah, it's like nothing showed for me. Yeah.
Yep. He saw it much later. He reveals that later, because the whole thing, the great part of this story is Atreus and Kratos. How Kratos is trying to teach him to not be one of those people, like one of those gods.
Right.
And also how Kratos is trying to hide the fact that he is one of those gods.
Yeah, and he's trying to be better.
Yeah, he's trying to be better, he's trying to be different, he's trying to make sure that Atreus doesn't follow his mistakes.
Right.
And then you get the scene with Balder determined to kill Freya. That fight with Balder when he becomes mortal again is incredible.
Yeah.
And gross.
And brutal.
Really, really brutal, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, Balder, you were a great god, and you were strong and powerful. At the end of the day, it was Freya's spell that made you that way, because next to Kratos, you kind of ain't nothing.
Right.
Because Kratos literally beats him bloody.
Yeah.
And then that whole sequence at the end where Kratos makes the decision to not kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he is determined to kill Freya, and Kratos is like, enough. Like, this whole kids killing parents, this has to stop.
Yeah, we've been doing this for, millennia, and it's not getting any better.
Yeah, because that was something that didn't occur to me until Kratos said that. I was like, look at the history of all of the gods, like, mythological, whatever. It's always about kids killing their parents.
Right.
Over and over and over again. Demigods, gods, it's all about the young ones coming up and taking over their father's reign by killing them, or their mother's reign. So Kratos, he literally breaks the cycle.
Yeah.
Literally and metaphorically, because he breaks Balder's neck and he's like, look, Freya hates you now. Freya is determined to kill you now.
Right.
But you made the hard choice. Like, you made the decision that she wouldn't be able to, because what's going to happen then is he's going to kill her, he's eventually going to have kids of his own, they're going to kill him, so on and so forth. And that's when Freya says, like, does he know the truth about you? Like, talking about Atreus. And it's this great moment where Kratos is just like, you know what? Good point. Well made.
Right.
Let's
have a chat.
And he literally explains exactly who he was. Like, he made a deal with the god, he sold his soul. He killed his father, and Atreus asks what any young lad would, which is this how it always goes? And that's when you get the whole moral of this story, I feel, which is it doesn't have to be the same.
Right.
You don't have to make the same mistakes again.
You can be better.
Yeah. It's a very Doctor Who message of...
Yeah, exactly. Like, the Doctor just wants you to be better.
Yeah. It's not about the past, it's not about the present, it's not about the future. That phrase perfectly sums it up, is you can be better.
Yeah.
That's all the message of this game is, and it's really... The storytelling they do in this, like I said, they drip feed it, they do it really well. but the messages that Kratos is giving Atreus, like the lessons he's teaching him, it's also about respect, about things like that. Like Kratos points out when Atreus kills one of the brothers, he's like, he's no longer a threat. And that message comes right back to the end when Atreus says to Kratos, he's no longer a threat. You don't have to kill him.
Yeah, like, you're done.
Yeah, it's a really good circular story of the father teaching the kid and the kid teaching the father at the same time.
Yeah, and part of the thing that I really like about those ending scenes, especially with, like, there's a great scene when they're leaving, it might be Tyr's Vault, and they're sharing some wine together.
Yes.
Like, it's so interesting because I feel like it's been such a journey over the game that you might even forget the beginning of the game where Kratos didn't even want to really talk to his kid. He just wanted to go get the thing done and wanted to come back home and kind of live the same life he's lived. He didn't, it's the game, the famous meme from the game is he's calling him boy. He doesn't even call him his name. He doesn't touch Atreus, even though he clearly wants to. There's like a great scene at the beginning where he tries to reach out to touch him, but like he just can't. Like he can't push that last mile to show some affection.
Yeah, it's like he's afraid of himself. Like Kratos is terrified of what he is capable of.
Right.
Which is why the whole Blades thing comes into effect. Is that's him embracing what he has done and what he is capable of doing. And he spends the entire start of that game basically treating Atreus like an object, because I think he is trying to not let his poisonous mind and his poisonous actions flow to the kid. Like you said at the start, Atreus even says, like, you didn't take me hunting. You never took me hunting. Mother always did.
You never spent time with me.
Yes.
It's really interesting because we just did a game club for Celeste, which is a game that I think all of us were pleasantly surprised that there was a good amount of pretty impactful story to it.
Yep.
And what I just realized is Celeste and God of War are, story-wise, are actually surprisingly similar games, which are learning to accept the worst parts of yourself and letting that make you a better person on the whole by learning and growing from your mistakes and your worst parts and, the stuff that you sort of don't want to deal with. Kratos is who he is. He has a good sense of justice, but it's been warped through all these terrible things he had to do, and then like this throughout the main 3 God of War games, it just all snowballed because it turned from learning about what happened to his family through the things he's had to do, and then snowballed into this horrific revenge tale that sort of got away from him. It's interesting to see him, through dealing with Atreus, come to terms with all that and say, like, that was bad. What I did was wrong and bad, but we can be better now, knowing that and learning and growing from that.
Yeah, I did love the fact that as well they did throw the God of War logo in one of those scenes. I think it's when they're trying to figure out how to get into Tyr's Vault or trying to get to Jotunheim, and they go past a panel of Tyr's artwork.
Yeah, and like shows, the big Omega symbol is there.
Yeah, it's got like in 4 corners. It's got the Egyptian God of War symbol. It's got like 2 more. It's got like, I think it's got Thor's hammer or something there. Yeah,
it's like Thor's hammer, the Eye of Horus, and then
and then in the top corner it's got like the Omega symbol.
Yeah,
and Mimir is like, oh, all of these are from different realms and they all represent it. And then Kratos interrupts him. He's like, war. It's literally what they all represent. And he's like, oh, how did you know that? And it's like, gee,
never mind.
I wonder.
Moving along.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked... I feel like, from a story perspective, I think Mimir is so fundamentally important in the game because he is, throughout most of the game, the polar opposite of Kratos. He talks too much. He's telling too many stories. From a gameplay and a story perspective, he serves an important role of, it's okay if you don't know Norse mythology.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to teach it to you in an interesting way by teaching Atreus about it.
Yeah.
Because Kratos doesn't... Not that Kratos knows it and isn't going to pass it on. He doesn't care. Like,
yeah, he doesn't care. He never even cared at all to learn anything.
Yeah, he found there were gods, and he's like, okay, I want nothing to do with it.
Yep.
I think his knowledge, especially in a lot of those scenes in the vault, is sort of like, okay, maybe he knows too much for Kratos to be comfortable with, and I think that was a really great thing where it's like, all right, talking head, this is where I need you to stop teaching.
Yeah, it's specifically as well, like, that really shines when he refers to him as the ghost of Sparta. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Number one, how do you know that name?
Right.
Number two, where are you really from, Mimir? Because as he's talking, you learn all about, like, how he has gone from king to king to king to king.
Yep.
For who knows how long?
Millennia.
Yeah, and...
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so Mimir could actually potentially be a really good plot device going forwards of introducing everybody to the new things. Like, he specifically calls out Egypt, like the Egyptian gods, and says, "Oh, that's a realm that's full of gods." And it's like, yeah, there's more there than probably in Greece and Nordic combined.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this really interesting thing of, okay, he knows a lot about a lot. So he becomes that perfect teaching instrument for the player, for Atreus, like you said. And he's the connecting thing between all of them. Like, now he's connected to the Greece mythology in some way.
Right.
Maybe he just learned about it, or maybe he just uses his weird eyes that he got to look at what's going on.
Or, part of what I was thinking, too, is the Ghost of Sparta, his reputation was so huge that, like, you're hearing about it in all these different realms and all these different mythologies just because he got so famous. But I think you're right. I think looking at Mimir, it's like, well, who
is he really?
Yeah, like, who are you really? And I like that the game wasn't interested in answering that, because I feel like it would have been easy to just wrap everything up in one game and be like, all right, well, here's who Mimir is, and you fight Odin at the end. And be like, yeah, but I like that the game wasn't overstuffed. It's about Baldur, those two brothers, Freya, and, I guess at the end, Loki also.
Yep. Which, shall we get there and talk about that reveal, the journey to Jotunheim?
Yeah. What a whole scene.
Yeah, the reveal when he touches the wall, like when you get to Jotunheim, it's dead realm, like it's dead. And I was half expecting the ashes to bring the giants back.
Yeah,
maybe that's something that they might do in the future, because maybe it takes some time to do. But
I kind of like the idea though that, like, they finally get to Jotunheim and they're ready to meet the giants, and like, I guess they haven't found out about his wife yet, but like, it's this exciting moment, and they come out, and it's just abandoned. Like, all these giants are there, just calcified, basically.
Which, that's also, to rewind a second, like, when you find out that Atreus is also part god, that's when it confirmed for me that he was Kratos' son. Mm-hmm. Kind of, because I still have my suspicions on that front. But like, learning about him and like his skill with languages as well is fantastic. Like, nobody knows what your abilities are going to be. Nobody at all. And then when he touches that wall in Jotunheim, and the wall just starts to mist away, and it basically comes to life, like this prophecy of the wife. Yeah. And it's like, okay, here's that. That's them fighting Baldur. That happened like 5 minutes ago.
Right.
And this is Kratos, and the world serpent. And this is everything else. And it's got that tease that you barely get a glimpse of something.
Kratos dying?
Yeah, it looks like it. And then they spread the ashes. It's a really great moment. The music is fantastic. Yep. And then they come down from that, and literally Atreus says, it's really weird, the name they gave me on the walls. And Kratos is like,
and I was just like, say it. Say the word. Say Loki.
Yep. And he turns around and says, yeah, this is Loki.
I'm just like, oh, yeah.
I was like, I didn't even see that coming. Like, I did not predict that he was going to be Loki.
As soon as he started saying that line, I'm like, oh, is he Loki? Wait, is he Loki? That's the only one he can be, right? Is he Loki?
Mm-hmm. And then, yes, he is Loki. And Kratos explains to him, yeah, that's your mother's name for you. But we went with Atreus, who was a Spartan warrior.
Yeah.
And the story behind why he's called Atreus is so heartwarming. It's
incredible.
It's
great.
And then you get back, and I don't know if you caught this.
Mm-hmm.
When you first come back when you come back to Midgard and go into the dwarves' shop, the dwarves have a conversation with Mimir about Atreus. And Mimir says, it makes perfect sense now. The son of Laufey the Just. Of course. And I was thinking, wait, Laufey? And then I remembered Kratos' wife is called Faye.
Yep.
It's like, oh, it was right there the whole time.
Yeah, because it's like a super late game discovery that not only is Atreus Loki, but Faye was a giant, so he's like half god and half giant.
Yep. As soon as I read the lore on the wall where it's like only the serpent and the guardian stay behind, I was like, oh my word.
Yeah.
His mother's a giant. What?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I really love that scene where they put down their ashes, because I feel like emotionally and storyline wise, it's the perfect cap. Like, he finally calls him son. They have a very close moment. He's like his hand on Atreus. It's this amazing culmination of the entire game.
He also picks him up and puts him on the wall, so they are at the same height as well.
That's right. That's a good
really
catch.
Good visual kind of thing.
Yep.
Now, they may not be equals, but he is starting to view him as his own person and more equal to him.
And I like, as soon as it's done, the camera still hasn't cut away. I like that you turn around and the camera swings behind you, and I like that they're both sort of like, all right, let's go home. It's like, our journey is done. I'm tired. Let's just go home.
Yeah, and when you do the Return to Midgard as well, they do a great tease for future games, because Thimbleweed is coming.
Yep.
Which is, hey, you were in Jotunheim longer than you think.
Yeah.
It's really cold out, and it's looking pretty bad, like end of the world bad.
Yeah.
And they start talking about Ragnarok.
Yep.
It's like, okay, so we're heading down this route.
Right, we're going all the way in.
That's good to know. So, hello, future games. And then you go home.
Yeah, which I didn't do until I platinumed the game, because I was worried it was just going to, like, cut off right then. Man, what a scene.
Yeah. Where they wake up and it's the middle of a raging storm. Kratos kicks open the door, and there's a guy in a cloak there with lightning around him.
Just like that camera pulling out, and like you see him, and then the hammer is there, and I'm like, of course you did. Also, that's a really great shot.
Yep. And especially the fact that as the hammer reveal happens, it starts getting charged with electricity, and some stuff is about to go down. It's like, oh, you're so good, and I hate you, but now I want God of War 2020.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I finished the game, and I platinumed it before I saw that scene, so that was really the coda on my playthrough. And as soon as that happened, I'd be like, yeah, I'm ready for more. Yeah. Like, I could keep doing this. Yeah,
that's the worst part, because, like, I mean, I beat the game, I got the end game reveal of the thing you can do after the end of the game, which is the Valkyries, which I've done one of them, and that thing is so stylized, it's so cool.
I really hope you do all of those, because the payoff at the very end is really good.
I've already seen the big circle thing. So I've seen the thrones of the Valkyrie.
That fight is incredible.
So I'm hoping I will probably end up doing that, but right now I'm doing it area by area. I'm just swooping everything up now.
Yeah.
But no, this is definitely contender for Game of the Year. Quite easily.
Yeah, I felt that way when I finished it. Like, I finished it, I sort of sat down, I ejected the disc, I put it back in the case, and, like, I put it in my collection behind me, and I'm sort of like, well, this sort of feels like the game to beat this year on my top 10 list.
100%. I think the only thing that's going to beat this, in general, is specific games for people. So... Right. JRPG comes out that's super detailed, super intense, really cool, really imaginative systems. That might take God of War off the top slot for you, because you are a JRPG fan. As a game that comes out with giant monsters and huge swords that you kill might take God of War off the top slot for me, because that is 100% my kind of game.
Yeah, like I think that's a great point, because when you look at 2018's best AAA game, it's probably gonna be God of War. Yeah. But if you look at the best game for me, it could be beaten by, like you said, some JRPG, some roguelike, some Metroidvania, like something that the genre clicks with me, like way more.
I think at the end of the day is when you look at the end of the year, this is getting Game of the Year for everything so far, because it's really hard. Like, me and you might sit there at the end of the year and say God of War is on number 1 or number 2, whatever.
Right.
But when you're a company like Giant Bomb, like GameStop or GameSpot, like IGN, these are places that have to... An individual person's Game of the Year is less relevant than the best Game of the Year for the whole. Right. I don't see this getting knocked off any of those number ones by anything so far this year.
And it's one of those few games where I feel like... And it's one of those few years where I look at it... Like, last year was taken up by Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I played that, and sure, it was good, but, like, for me, not Game of the Year. So I sort of couldn't understand it from certain perspectives, but you look at God of War, and if it sweeps all the Game of the Year, you sort of look at it and go, yeah,
fair play.
I get it. Yeah, that makes sense.
I was disappointed Resident Evil 7 wasn't on more Game of the Year's lists like last year.
Yeah, like, it just got slept on.
That was a masterpiece.
Yeah. Man. But yeah, I don't really think I have anything more to add on to God of War other than I feel like it took the God of War formula and switched it up enough and gave it way more of a story focus, and I think that made it such an incredible game.
Yeah, and the fact that you... Like, I learned through osmosis who Kratos is and stuff like that. I didn't read anything to do with this. I didn't do a deep dive and figure out his exact story. I know he killed the Greek gods. That's literally all I really knew. Yeah. I knew some basics of it. Like, I knew
he killed his family accidentally.
Yeah, I knew that stuff, but you don't need to play any of the other ones. This is 100% a standalone game.
Yeah.
Until 2 years from now.
For sure.
But it's worth it. It's such a masterclass of... We've mentioned it before, the criticism of Microsoft versus Sony. This is a great lesson in give this studio money, give them time, and they produce gold.
Right.
You probably couldn't have said that about God of War 3.
Right.
But God of War 1 was great, and God of War 2, from everything I understand, was Mass Effect 2 levels of improved.
God, it was so good.
So, give them you know what? If they can do that jump again, the God of War 1 to 2...
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Imagine what we might be looking at for God of War 2020.
It would be one of those games where you play it, and it's like, alright, here's the one to beat this generation.
Yeah,
like,
it's the Mass Effect
like Mass Effect 2. Yeah, exactly. Where it's sort of like, this is... You guys have made something else entirely.
Yeah, good on them. That's all I'm going to say is good. Like, good job, fantastic work. From the rumors I've heard, is the certain things didn't come into place until really late in the development, like the axe throw and stuff.
Yeah,
but it got there, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Is the final product is truly something special.
Yep.
Like, to give you folks an idea at home who's listening, all we've talked about here is the story. We haven't talked about how great the combat feels, how good the game looks, the sense of scale, everything else in this game. We haven't mentioned that. Literally, we are talking about the story only, and we still think that's Game of the Year contender, despite the fact that everything else is so well done in the game.
Yep.
I cannot play a PlayStation controller without physically causing myself harm. And this is all I wanted to come home and play.
Yeah.
I'm literally putting myself in agony to play this game. That's how good it is.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I think the best thing for us to say to wrap this out is 2018 was made better by having such a strong game like God of War come out. And, I think neither one of us was super excited about it when it got announced. Where it's like, okay, a new God of War.
Interest.
He has a beard, but I'm kind of done with the series. Like, I've been bitten too many times. PSP ones were fine, but I didn't like 3, and I didn't really care about anything else. And then I played it, and I'm like, oh no, this is something really special. Crap.
Yep. Almost from the get-go. Almost within the first, couple of moments of that game, it's like, this might
well, like, when you start new game, and he starts chopping down that tree, and the camera doesn't even cut from there. Like, the menu fades away, and you're just playing it. It's like, oh no, it's already looking pretty great.
Yep. So, good on him.
Yeah. So, that's another Spoilercast in the can. Another game that, thankfully, we've played at the same time. So, we unfortunately don't get to do these as much as often as we'd often like because of time constraints, really. But thankfully, it's for something as good as God of War. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.